Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gable.
And my name is Jacob Bortz. Guys, welcome to YouTube exclusive number 14. Guys, if you are new to these exclusives, we basically do a shortened version of our full-length podcast episodes. Now, if you didn't know that, we do have a podcast. We are here on YouTube. We're also on any audio platform where we have 5 main formats that we cover. And then again, in these YouTube exclusives, we basically do a shortened version of one of those formats from the podcast. Now, these are typically anywhere from 5 to about 20 minutes long. And we will either preface a potential future topic. We will cover a couple extra points to a past episode, or it will be completely exclusive to YouTube here. So if you're new, that's kind of the rundown of what these YouTube exclusives are. And also, if you have not, definitely go and check out our other content here on YouTube. Again, all of our podcast episodes are here. We also have several vlogs here on YouTube that are a lot of fun, good watches, and we will actually be getting back to doing those more consistent because we just got a brand new piece of equipment here, which is why we look so beautiful right now.
I think they can see every little detail of our face right now.
Yes,
yeah,
100%.
Which is the goal, of course, guys.
Each and every little pore.
Yeah, because all we're worried about is physical beauty here, right? And, you know, the bar for physical fitness is very low. Well,
yes,
the bar for physical beauty is very low, too.
Yes, that's right. And we cover that bar.
It's us, too. That's awesome.
Oh, man, that's great. So, for number 14 here, like he actually just mentioned, we're going to talk about real quick here in a couple points on why and how the bar for physical fitness is extremely low nowadays.
Yeah. I think a lot of you could objectively look at the United States especially and agree with us on this point just right off the bat. Face value, the bar for physical fitness is very low. I think a lot of you could sit here and be like, yeah, that's probably true. Even if you're not somebody who exercises regularly, I think you could agree with that being the case. And the most obvious reason is that you can look around and obviously look at data on obesity rates and overweight rates, metabolically unhealthy rates in the United States, for one. Around the world, obviously, it is a thing too, but it's primarily it's very pronounced in the United States, so to speak. We are kind of known for that. We're known for being the fat country in a lot of ways, which is not a good thing. So it's very obvious in that way, and you guys can probably recognize that. Now, as for using exercise and nutrition for setting yourself apart, that's also actually very easy to do because the bar is so low. And any of you who have exercised even for 6 months consistently could objectively see that. Any of you that have done 75 hard as well can see how that 2.5 months you're like, why is everybody else not doing this? Why? It's so easy. I just went outside for a walk for 45 minutes. That was easy, right? Now, again, obviously it's not that simple, guys. I think we could all agree that it's, you know, you can't just snap your fingers and get somebody to start working out. That's just not how it works. As we've talked about in past episodes before, you know, the world nowadays with AI, technology, just life being as overall easy as it is in a lot of ways, it allows you to be that low bar or hit that low bar, so to speak. You know, but then something like the Texas floods are something that expose that physical fitness. You know, the top dog men, like there was a Coast Guard pilot that saved like I think it was almost into the hundreds of girls or something like that. He saved from like a flood.
From a camp or something?
Yeah, it was Camp Mystic he saved them from. And this guy flew in, basically himself, 2 girls at a time, took him to the helicopter. That shows you like how important it is in those dire situations, right? And how it actually still can be a thing even though it's easy for that standard to be low. So to speak.
And it doesn't also have to be those extreme situations, you know, with flooding or being a pilot and things like that. But it just doesn't take much effort to not be at that bar. Because as we've already said multiple times, it is so low. So it doesn't take much effort. And those of us that are willing to put in even a little bit of effort, we like to think we put in a little bit more than a little effort. But those of us that are willing, and those of you probably watching that are willing to put in just a little bit of effort, you see how much you separate yourself in a very short amount of time. And it might be a short amount of time, but it is not a small gap that you can create. You know, whether it is something like 75 hard, which we discussed actually in episode 165 last week, that 75 hard is a little bit of an accelerator for physical results for sure, because you're doing 2 workouts a day, each for 45 minutes, so it's a good length, for 75 straight days. You know, that's a lot.
And you're following a diet.
And you're following, some sort of diet, some sort of meal plan. So absolutely, you're not eating the crap, and you're getting tons of physical activity, so naturally, you are going to see relatively quick physical results. You know, again, it's not going to happen by day 21, but by day 75, you should look a lot different than what you did on day 1. Now, you don't have to just use that for weight loss or weight gain or anything like that. That's not the point of the program. That's also not the point of this video here. But it takes very little effort to create a pretty substantial gap. And that's kind of the key here, is you want to create that gap. It will help you in all aspects of your life. It's that simple. It really is. You will feel better. You will sleep better. You will have more energy throughout the day. You will be more productive at work and at home and in relationships and friendships. It has so much of a ripple effect. And so many of the American citizens, maybe so many of you watching, you don't even know what you're missing out on. And it's honestly sad, because I used to be an overweight person, you used to be an underweight person. And until we changed those things, we didn't even realize how much we were missing out on, you know? And especially in like just a general sense of how you feel throughout the day. You know, I was dealing with all kinds of heartburn and acid reflux and just feeling terrible and sluggish and things like that. You flip that switch, and in just a couple months, in just a year, which maybe that sounds like a long time, but in reality, it's not, you can change all of that. All of that. And then again, you create this big gap, and you create this big separation between people that are stuck down here at the bar and you that is going up, all the way up here. And again, it will feed into every aspect of your life.
Yep, and you might as well take advantage of that. You know, if there is that opportunity to set yourself apart in that massive of a way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that are overweight or obese, or that don't exercise consistently, they have this belief that it's not as impactful as what you just described, right? When it really is. I mean,
Absolutely.
Being physically fit is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so good in so many ways that you described there. So why not join and hop on that train?
Yeah. I didn't even mention the confidence you gain. I mean, that's a big deal, you know, because that also feeds into all those other aspects. You know?
Easier to have conversations with your friends.
Yeah.
You can 100% be more confident when you carry yourself in public spaces and whatnot. All of those things, yeah, it all carries over. Now, as for a couple ways to achieve that and setting yourself apart, some of the, these are not exhaustive ways to do this. There's many ways to do this, but 100%. These are just a couple options we're giving you guys to choose. One of them would be through choosing some sort of compound lift or heavier lift that you can improve on week after week or month after month, or whatever, you know, metric you're chasing, so to speak. And a good example of this would be something like bench press, RDLs, regular deadlifts, conventional deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, barbell back squats, and picking one of these. Right now, mine is incline barbell bench press. And try and go up week by week by week in my weight with that, and or my reps with that as well. And improving on that, because I know if I achieve a higher level barbell bench press, then that sets me apart from a lot of the population. And it induces a certain amount of confidence for myself. Right? Absolutely. You know, so those compound lifts are an easy way to do that, because of not only how effective they are for results. You're 100% within. I have one of my clients right now who we've been focusing on sumo deadlifts and RDLs on separate different days. And her strength and stability, she comments on it every single time we have an in-person session. And that is the best thing to hear as a trainer, by the way. But it is because of those larger movements. They tend to induce a lot of strength development. They tend to introduce a lot of muscle building. They also introduce a lot of hormone function and hormone health a lot of the times too, because your body reacts in a way, it's like, oh man, we're activating a lot of muscles here. We're picking up a lot of weight. This is sweet. Let's do it. Here's the dopamine, and here's the testosterone, and, you know, all this cool stuff. And, you know, so that's why compound lifts are a great option for that.
Yeah. And I think another option here, more on the cardiovascular side, would be something as simple as running. running sucks. I hate running. You hate running.
Hate it.
I
Yep.
mean, we weren't runners growing up. Running for me was usually a punishment during baseball, like we were just talking about before.
We were, yeah, right.
And so I didn't play a sport growing up I did play football and I did play basketball, but I was a baseball player. So I didn't play a sport that required me to have high levels of cardiovascular ability. You did through hockey, absolutely, and lacrosse. But something as simple as running. That's kind of where my focus is now, not just specifically on running, but doing some high rocks type training. So it's a lot different actually of a style of training than what I typically do. I'm typically a more bodybuilding style, go for the pump, go for those big lifts like you're just talking there. And I love that. I love getting stronger and getting bigger muscles, there's no doubt, getting cut, things like that. But right now, that's just not exactly how I'm training. So I have goals to increase my cardiovascular ability, and I'm doing that by doing full body conditioning workouts, doing interval run workouts, and just flat out running. Going for distance, whether it's 2 miles or 3 miles or 4 miles or more, or even just a mile. Most people cannot run 1 mile, just go out and come back without stopping, without walking, without laboring big time. And I don't care about your time. I don't care about that at all. I'm more so just talking about completing the damn thing, And so if you can get your cardiovascular health in a better position, that is another way that you will separate yourself from the rest of the population, just like Gable just mentioned, with your strength increasing on a particular compound movement. And those big movements that he mentioned are great ways to measure that. It's not something that's cable loaded or anything like that, but it's a big movement where you're either getting the weight up or you're not. There's not really ways to cheat those types of things. Same as running. I think a big part of the reason people hate running, myself included, is because you can't cheat it. You either ran the mile or you didn't. You either completed the interval workout or you didn't, and the only way to cheat it is to just not do it. Well, then you didn't get better at all. You can do cheat reps and things like that with certain movements, and they can actually still be productive, especially on things like curls, bicep curls or tricep movements. You can kind of do some cheat reps and you're still going to get some good stimulus to those muscles. With running, you can't, which is why most people don't do it, because you cannot fake it, you can't cheat it.
Yep.
The only way I guess you could do that is get in your car and turn your timer on. Like, yeah, I ran a mile in 17 seconds. Oh wow, interesting. So interesting.
Hauling ass.
Yeah, just moving.
Just getting into Andy's Ford GT for that one.
Yeah,
my gosh.
Right. So that would be another way that you can start to separate yourself from the rest of the population and separate yourself from that low bar, is being able to have any sort of endurance, cardiovascular health, and things like that. And now listen, to start this, you might be someone that has to start by walking that mile, walking 2 miles, walking 3 miles, running 1. There's different levels to this. If you're not a runner, if you're not someone that runs, don't go out and try and run 5 miles. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to go well. And then you're just discouraged. And then you're definitely not going to run anymore. You do need set times, and you need to know where you're at on a 1 mile run so that you can work to lower that time and then increase your distance and keep your paces and all that kind of thing. And heart rate comes into play. If I were to come up with a specific thing that I want to work on for my cardiovascular health, it's being able to control my heart rate. Especially on longer runs, because not growing up running, I'm not good at controlling my heart rate. My heart rate is always just through the roof. And if you're doing something like interval workouts, that's going to come because you're going to be running faster on the certain distances and things like that. And that's kind of the point of something like an interval run. But if you're just going out to run 3 miles, you got to be able to control your heart rate. And then especially if you want to get into the really long distances, 10 plus miles or whatever. So that would be another way.
Yeah. I would also, ending comment on that one is, you're going to notice that if you're going upstairs, guys, you're going to notice a massive gap. Stairs are going to be a cakewalk for you.
Yeah.
Essentially, compared to everybody else around you. Cardiovascular activities in general, doing things running around with your kids are just going to be easier. So you're going to notice all these markers, guys. That's why running and forms of cardiovascular fitness like that are so important, because that's that separator aspect of it. Because you notice just how much easier cardiovascular workouts, I would say, the noticeable impact in your daily activities is probably more than the strength activities.
Probably.
You know, unless you're going around moving furniture every single week or something like that, then sure, I guess you'll notice it that way. But if you're actually like running around the yard with your kiddos, you're going to notice that a lot more through something like running or, you know, other type of cardiovascular fitness exercise too. So
I was going to say, you can make cardio actually pretty fun. Like rowing is fun, skiing is fun, like the ski erg machines and the rowers. I'm not talking about going on a lake and rowing or going on a mountain and then skiing. Like certainly
I wish we could do that all the time.
But you can make it, you know, quote unquote fun. You know, you can mix in sled pushes and things like that, sled pulls. Those are still cardiovascular activities. And actually with things like that, you're going to get a strength component to both of those, and things like rowers and skiers, actually, I suppose, as well. But yeah, those are two very simple, maybe not easy, but very simple ways that you can start to raise yourself from that low bar. You know, so we had the overarching point here of how the bar for physical fitness is extremely low, especially here in America. And then we gave you two options that we just happened to pick. Like he mentioned earlier, there are tons of ways that you can fit into both of these points that we just gave you guys, but it's that simple. It takes a little bit of effort, and then with that little bit of effort, it takes consistency. And with that consistency, that's when the results will come, and that is when you start to separate yourself and create that gap.
Boom.
It's as simple as that, guys. All right, that is YouTube exclusive number 14. 14.
That's funny as hell. 14?
Yes. Again, if you have not, go and check out our full-length podcast episodes here on YouTube or on any audio platform that you like to listen to music or podcasts on. We also have our vlogs here on YouTube as well. So tons of content on YouTube and all the major social media platforms. And as always, please continue to share the show. Guys, until next time, peace and love.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go.
Nice job.